Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Mindful Mondays on Sunday. I'd like to welcome all our new people who are here, who have never been here before. We want to welcome you, and one of our philosophies here, Keep Those Pounds Off, is that we aspire to not being perfect. And here's a perfect opportunity. Tonight is Sunday night, and we're doing Mindful Mondays. So if you're wondering, hey, is there something wrong? Did somebody make a mistake? No, nobody made a mistake at all. Sometimes we do this on Monday, sometimes we do it on Sunday. We do ask that everybody remains muted. I will mute everybody, and please remain muted throughout this session. You will have an opportunity later to unmute and ask questions after we finish the original topic. So I want to welcome everybody here. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Like we stated, please keep yourself unmuted. Please respect others. We will be offering an opportunity to ask questions about something that we spoke about tonight. And while we're asking questions, we do not crosstalk. In other words, that we don't give other people advice. We keep it extremely anonymous. We will call you out by the last couple of numbers of your phone number. And this way, everybody feels safe. People want to feel safe here. And we work really hard at Keep Those Pounds Off to keep people safe. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Alan Nemtzov. I'm a certified psychiatric nurse. I'm also a published author and a certified health coach. But more important than my credentials is the fact that I've been able to maintain a 100-pound weight loss for 21 years. And about 6 years ago, I started to help people lose weight. And not just lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. And it evolved, and we started to do trauma healing, anxiety reduction, and there is a tremendous amount of ailments that we have been able to heal in the last 6 years. We've helped hundreds, literally hundreds of people in the last 6 years. And we want to welcome you out, and welcome you all here. I apologize. And we started this Mindful Mondays this past January. And it is an opportunity for people who are not familiar with us to hear a little bit about what we do in our program, to get a little bit of taste, to whet your palate a little bit about what we talk about in our programs. And we'll talk a little bit later about our programs, but for now, I want you to know that we have different topics that we have chosen. Since you signed up, that means that you will receive our newsletter, which comes out every month, which is a synopsis of this Mindful Monday that we're doing here tonight. So you will get that in a couple of weeks to go through an editing process, and then we will email you out the completed version. We will be here next Monday. Typically, we're here every other week, but we will be here next Monday as well. And once again, this is totally free. You can let your friends and family know. You can let them know right now, and you can text them or email them and give them the login information. It is not a secret. This is not a closed meeting. This is not private. This is for anybody who really is interested to find out about what they are seeking. Our mission is to help 100 million people reach their true happiness. That is my mission, and that is what I set out to do. And that is what we are doing, one person at a time. So once again, we want to welcome all of you. Those of you who have been here before know about us. Those who are brand new, once again, we want to welcome you. So let's get started. Let's jump right in. Tonight's topic is called Stay in Your Lane. And we're going to explain it. So first of all, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about Yom Tov. How was your Yom Tov? Oh, my Yom Tov, that was a long time ago, right? It seems like it was only about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago when we finished the holiday season. A huge season, probably the most important season, the high holidays, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. It's the holiest days of the year in the Jewish calendar, a very important time of year. There's a whole month, like a whole month of preparation just for that month. And then the physical preparations, building the sukkah, everything else, preparing the meals, all the things that we need to do in order to prepare ourselves for the holiday. And of course, it's a spiritual preparation of all as well, mostly. And then we celebrate the holidays and then we get back to regular life. And some of us forget what happened. So this concept is very important, especially in tonight's topic. And of course, I'm going to explain to you what the importance of it is. What I'd like you to do is for all of you to, and I hope you brought pens and papers or on your phone or whatever it is, whatever apparatus they use to type or write or to take notes, is I would like you all to write down 3 things that were very beautiful, very inspiring for you during the Yom Tov season. 3 things that really affected you, mostly in a spiritual way, something that, or a positive emotional experience that you had. Maybe you met a family member that you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you gave birth to a child. Maybe you spend time with your family that you normally don't spend time with. Maybe you just got married. Whatever it is, I want you to not focus on any negative things that might have happened during the holiday season. And yes, things come up. It is typical when family gets together for a extended period of time. It is very typical and very probable that there's going to be a little bit of strife and a little bit of anxiety around it, or sometimes there's going to be some conflict. We don't want to focus on any of that at all. I want you to write down 3 positive things. Take a moment. You can do it as I'm talking that happened to you on Yom Tov. Maybe you got an aliyah in shul. Maybe you got a special kibbutz. You open up the Aron Kodesh. Maybe you did something, you felt something very powerful. You were able to daven something that was really very special for you that you haven't experienced ever before, or maybe in a long time. Maybe your family really appreciated the foods that you made. Maybe you had a nicer connection with your spouse. Maybe you had a nice, beautiful connection with your family. Maybe you spent time in the sukkah together and you sang some nigunim and you really enjoyed it. Something that inspired you, and it doesn't have to necessarily be about other people. It can just be in yourself that you had some type of positive experience during the holiday season, and it's not for you to share here. So it can be as seemingly insignificant as you feel, or it can be something that was really powerful and profound. Whatever it is, I'd like you to please remain muted, everybody. Thank you so much. Please make sure to stay muted so not to interrupt. Thank you. But write down 3 things that were very inspiring for you over the holiday season. We're going to take a moment just for you to write it down. I'm going to close my video for 1 minute so you can focus on you and not on me. And then I'm going to come back. So literally 1 or 2 moments, and then I'm going to come back. Okay? Write down 3 positive things because we're going to do something with it. Very important. Okay? Go ahead and start writing down what you have. You can write down more, obviously. And if you only come up with 1, that's okay. But try to get, okay, hopefully you completed your task and you got yourself 2 or 3 beautiful memories that happened to you. I had a beautiful, for me, was specifically the Simchas Torah, which was the last of the Yom Tovim. I'm not going to share all the ones that I had, but I had an absolutely beautiful time. My 2 sons are chefs, and they came over with their families, and they just cooked up a storm, and they had so much fun. And I love that when our family gets together, when my children get together, and my grandchildren, and we get together. And they love doing the shopping and picking up the special items. They have items that I've never heard of, some ingredients. I couldn't tell you what they are. They're chefs. So they went to town, and they just made some really gourmet food. But it wasn't just the food. It was the whole environment around it, the experience. And it was such a beautiful time. And as I'm telling you about it, I'm getting back in that numbing, not numbing, but that like exciting feeling inside my body, like a chill, feeling that beautiful feeling when you talk about that, when I talk about that memory. So why am I doing this? Because after you do this and you write down 2 or 3 beautiful things that happen on your yontif, what you have done, if you have taken a memory, you have created a memory for your subconscious for the rest of your life. That is what we do in our programs, the transcendental healing of the subconscious. That is the name of my theories. You've literally taken an experience that happened. It's already in the past, right? Yontif is over. It's done. Now we're moving on into the fall and the winter and school and going through whatever it is that we're going through in our daily lives. And that is complete. The whole holiday season is over. However, what you have done by taking note of 2 or 3 beautiful experiences, beautiful memories, I should say, that you had, you're taking positive memories and you're putting it into your memory bank, which is your subconscious. And now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you're going to reminisce, maybe you have small children, and when they get older, you're going to tell them, oh, yeah, I remember that yontif. It was so beautiful. And you can talk about the beautiful memories that you had. This is the power that you and I and each one of us have in creating a positive memory in our subconscious, simply not by changing your past, because we all agree that, I'm assuming you agree, but obviously you can't, it's a fact. You can't change your past. Us as human beings, we do not have the ability to change our past. However, what we can do is we can change our perspective of the past. So now, if you came out of the yontif and let's say, oh my gosh, it was so, and giving some examples, it was so difficult, it was tiring, it was expensive, it was a lot of effort. You're removing all that in your memory bank and you're putting in your positive experience, your positive memories. So now you have a positive memory in your memory bank, in your subconscious. And you can do that with anything in life. In our program, we teach it all the way back to our childhood. Can you imagine? All the way back to our childhood, that we can retrain our subconscious. So any negative beliefs that we have about an experience, you can literally change the way you perceive it by doing the work. Is it work? Absolutely. Is it challenging? Yes, sometimes it's challenging. So the question, of course, is why do we need to do this? In other words, why do we have these negative, what we call a negative bias? Why are we looking at our negative things about ourselves and about others, which we're going to get to? So how do we deal with that? Or why do we have to deal with it? Why do we start off with this negative bias? The reason why we do it, but I'm going to get to that in a moment. Before I answer that question, and I will answer it in just a couple minutes, I want you to know that when you go through life, and I want you to know this concept was inspired by me going to the gym, and my chiropractor filled me in on it. I go to the gym, I do different things, I swim, I play tennis. When I play tennis, I go and stretch. And I'm not a great stretcher. I know stretching is a very healthy aspect. Some people are really good at that. I'm not one of those people that's really good at it. But I'm grateful that at my gym, they have this apparatus where I can do what's called calf stretching. In other words, the back of the leg and the hamstrings. And you lie down and there's a lever and it lifts up your leg to whatever degree you can get through your stretch. And you stretch. And I was asking my chiropractor, is this a good thing to do? And he says, yes, but be very careful. Do not do both legs at once. It's very bad for the lower back. I said, okay, I wasn't planning on doing it. And so he tells me, he says, I was at the gym. He tells about himself. And he saw this person doing it with both legs up. I've seen people do both legs. And he says, I said to myself, stay in your lane. Don't say anything. That's where I got the concept for tonight's entire session from my chiropractor. When he said that, stay in your lane, I said, wow, that's a great topic to talk about. Stay in your lane. So he obviously is a chiropractor and he noticed that this person was doing it with both legs. Now, since he told it to me, I've become more cognizant when I go to the gym and I see other people, I'm almost angry at them. Like, why did you put this in my head? I wasn't even thinking about it. Nonetheless, if I see anybody, I don't say anything, obviously. What's so humorous about this story is that I start to get plantar fasciitis. And for those of you who know what that is, it's a pain underneath the heel. And I didn't know what it was. And I went to my podiatrist to ask him what it was. And he says it's because the Achilles, which is like behind the heel, there is a tightening there. And I said, really? He said, yeah, because you don't stretch it. I said, no, I do stretch. And I tell him what I'm doing. He says, that's the problem. You're doing that stretch too much. And because you're doing that stretch too much, it's causing the other part of your leg to tighten up. And that's why you have it. It's mild. And he taught me another stretch to do, and he showed me exactly how to do it. Very simple. So now when I stretch my leg, I used to do it for 5 minutes. I only do it for a minute and a half, for 2 minutes. So here you go. Here, I thought I was doing something great. I'm finally stretching, and I was doing it more. That's why it's always great to speak to professionals to get advice about, maybe for younger people, you don't have the same problems. But me, as I'm aging, I need to be more careful. So here, why am I laughing? Here, I was about to tell somebody else that they're doing something wrong with their both legs up. I was doing it wrong myself because I had it up for too long and it was causing me pain some other part of my body. And I just laughed at myself when these things happen, when I get this self-awareness. I said, wow, I'm so glad I kept I stayed in my lane. I didn't say anything to anybody because I would look like a total idiot. I'm telling them they're doing something wrong. When the truth is, I was doing something wrong myself, a little bit different of something wrong, but still within that stretching, I was doing something wrong. So when you notice that somebody else is doing something wrong, or when you notice that something is not right in the world, the question, first of all, is why do you notice? And we're going to answer that a little bit in a little while. But the second question for you to think about is what you notice about what other people are doing. Do you notice that something is not perfect? Maybe you go to a grocery store and you go, oh my gosh, what a mess. Or why are they stocking the shelves now when it's a busy time? Why do they stock shelves at nighttime? Why are these shelves, why are the aisles so narrow? Why don't they have a better checkout aisle for 10 items or less? Why did they let this other person go? They have 15 items and it's supposed to be for 10 items or less. Why is their self-check not so easily, not so user-friendly? These things, do you notice things that are not right in the world? Do you notice things about yourself? Oh, why do I do that? What's the matter with me? I'm such an idiot. Why did I make that decision? Do you notice things that are wrong about yourself? Of course you do. Of course you do. If you're honest, you notice about yourself, you notice about other people. And there are levels about that, and we're going to talk about that. And that's why I was going to answer why it's so difficult to think the positive. Why do we have all these negative memories? It's all within that same concept. Why is being positive take a lot of effort? And to be negative sometimes is so easy. It's just natural. So I'm going to tell you a little secret about human beings. When human beings are born, now I'm not talking about the mothers, that mothers go through some mothers go through a very traumatic experience when they give birth. Some births are more traumatic than others. And I don't need to go into detail about different traumatic experiences that mothers have in childbirth. I'm not going down that road. And if you do have something, I empathize with you. I understand what that is. But not that I've ever given birth, but my wife has. Each human being start our life on this planet, not our life from conception, because our life at the beginning of conception, for the first 9 months or so, is in the mother's womb. And everything is taken care of. We don't have to breathe for ourselves. We don't have to feed for ourselves. We don't have to think. It's nice and comfortable. It's warm. The mother does everything for the infant in utero, in the mother's womb. The minute the child is born, or should I say, as the child is being born. Now, this doesn't matter. There's only two ways to give birth. It's either a C-section, cesarean, where they cut open the mother's stomach and they take the baby out for various reasons. Either it's not positioned correctly, or there's some other risk. So they will do that. Or whether it's a natural birth where they go through this thin canal and the head of the skull of the child is squeezed. Now, again, I told you I'm not talking about the adult mother. We're not focusing on that. Not that it's not important, but for our discussion tonight, we're not going to be focusing on that. We're talking about the infant. And when the infant is born, the head gets squashed. And again, this is every single human being. I don't care if you're Donald Trump, right? I don't care if you're Putin, and I don't care if you are just unfortunately, a homeless individual who never saw the light of day. It does not matter. There's 8.2 or 8.3 billion humans on this planet, and every single one of them goes through the same birth. It doesn't matter your race, creed, color. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God, whether you don't believe in God, whether your parents were drug addicts, whether they're alcoholics, whether they're good people. No difference. That is the only way, for now, to come out, to be born. Who knows, in the future, science may come out a different way. But for now, for today, every human being is born one of those two ways, either a C-section or a natural birth. That's it. And again, we're not talking about the mother. We're just talking about the actual delivery process. That is trauma. We start our life, every single human being, and there's no way to evade it. And I don't care how wealthy you are, how poor you are, how intellectual you are. It doesn't matter whether you have an anomaly, where you have some type of sickness or disease. It does not matter. Every human being starts off life on this planet the exact same way, with trauma. So when somebody says, I've never been through trauma, they're lying. Not that they're doing it on purpose. They could be ignorant, because every human being starts with trauma. And that is one of the reasons why we are negative bias. Because we start with trauma, and then we're in this cold environment, we have to breathe for ourselves, and then we have to start doing something to feed. We have to get rid of the fluid that is in our lungs. Obviously, the nurses and the medical staff do this for us, but nonetheless, the child has to develop. And now, all of a sudden, this child who's been nice and comfy for 9 months has to face this cold world and start fending for itself somehow. Somebody's got to take care of that kid. That infant cannot fend for itself anymore. That's traumatizing. We start our life through trauma. Because we start our life through trauma, we don't trust. We're very anxious, worried, concerned. We are on a heightened alert in general from birth. And I'm talking about every human being now. I'm not talking about your personality. That's as you go through the growth and development through the years of childhood. But we're talking about when you were first born. Each of and every one of you and me, we all went through trauma. So we, from the get-go, we're starting off from the negative. We start off with trauma. We start off with trying to survive. And that is why we are trained from our birth to focus on the negative, and we have a difficult time to focus on the positive. And I was thinking about this as something that I do. I to think a lot about different things about life, how this program evolved, and realize that there's no mistakes in God's kingdom. This is something that I believe to my core, that there's just no mistakes in God's kingdom, not a single mistake. In other words, this was intentional. This wasn't God making a mistake. Oops, oh, I should have thought of a different way for a child to be born. No, this is not a coincidence. This is not a mistake. This is not an oversight. This is not something that fell through the crack. Oops, God, oops. I should have thought about that one. No, we're not talking about a human being. God isn't a human being. There's no mistakes in God's kingdom. This was meant to be. We were supposed to start with trauma. We were supposed to start with the negative. There's only two humans that did not start with a negative, and that was Adam and Eve. Adam came up from the ground, right? He didn't give birth, and Eve came from his rib. So it wasn't traumatizing, they were formed. There was no forming, there is today. So those are the only two human beings. But after that, their children, Eve had to give birth, Hava had to give birth to their children. But besides for those first two human beings, every human being goes through trauma. So it's not a mistake. We're supposed to. Why? Because that is the work. That's why we're here. I'm not something that I teach in our programs. I'm not in management. I don't make the rules. So don't blame me. It's because I'm informing you of something that is common knowledge. We all start with a negative. Therefore, to get positive, our number one goal every day when we wake up is to survive. So number one goal is to survive. We are going to start with that negative bias as human beings because we all started with trauma. That is what God wanted. He wanted us to work, to grow, to learn, to heal. That's what he wanted us to do. I'm not talking about all other circumstances and experiences that we have in our life. So that's why when we start off the exercise tonight, write down 3 positive things that happened to you in the holidays. So you can take away from your negative bias, if you had any, or anything negative that happened to you, or any conflict or struggle or challenge that happened to you in that whole month of the holiday season, and you can change that on a dime in a moment, right? All you need to do is think about 3 positive things that you had. Now you have a positive memory. See, it takes work. And the truth is that this type of work, it sounds pretty simple. It is simple, but you need others. You need assistance. You need guidance. You can't do this work on your own. I tried too many times. I'm speaking from a professional level. It's impossible to do this work on your own. So we all start with trauma. We all start with negative. Some of us get more negative in our lives, depending on different experiences and different situations. Sometimes not our fault, many times not our fault. Nonetheless, we all start with a negative bias, and that's why it takes work to be positive. It's not, okay, I'm positive, I'm done. No, it's a daily practice, because every day we start new. So after you've noticed, getting back to our topic that we were talking about before, after you've noticed that there's something wrong, either with yourself or with somebody else, how do you first react? And again, it's not for you to share with us. This is for your own, for you to look at, for you to get a better understanding of yourself, for you to grow and become a better person. That's the whole point of these Mindful Mondays, even on Sunday. So when you see something that's not right, do you go up and tell the other person? You go to the store manager, and I'm just using store as an example. It can be at work, it can be with your neighborhood, it can be with your town that you call the town supervisor, you call the whatever, the government, whatever it is in your community, and complain about something. What do you do when you see something that is not right? What is your first reaction? Oh, I got to go tell somebody. We need to fix this. This cannot be. Somebody spilled something in the store and nobody cleaned it up. Where's the manager? Hello? You have a problem in aisle 4. Why isn't it clean? Again, I'm just using the store as an example because it's just an easy example that came to my mind. I'm sure you can think of many examples yourself. It can be about a family member. It can be about a coworker. It can be a place that you work. It can be in a home. It can be a place that you're visiting. Maybe you go to somebody's house and you see something that's not right. Do you go to the balabus and say, your curtains are dirty, you need to get them cleaned? Do you do that? I don't know. If you see things, what do you do? Do you say something? Do you? Or maybe you tell another person about it. Maybe say, I was yesterday at house and you know what I saw? You know what they did? I couldn't believe it. Or I was walking down the street and I randomly saw this person do this. And I don't even know who the person is. Do you go around talking about it to other people? Not necessarily gossiping, but just talking about the incident. Or I was in a store. I don't want to say which store it was because I don't want to gossip about it. I don't want to speak Russian about the store. But I was in a store and this is what I saw. Can you imagine? Do you know that people do that stuff? Right? Do you do that? Is that your first reaction? That used to be mine. My first reaction used to be, I used to confront them right away. Oh my gosh, what I used to do. It's scary that I remind myself of how I used to be before I got into recovery myself. And I found out that people don't really realize, and we're going to get to that in a couple minutes. Okay, I'm going to put that on the side, but people don't really realize what they do. They really don't. And I wasn't aware that I was doing it, that I was telling people or confronting them. But what do you do? So this is helping you to figure out who you are and what you do. Or do you ignore it? You say, you know what? I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to ignore it. It's not my monkey, not my circus, not my problem. I'm not going to say anything. Or do you try to learn from it? Do you try to learn from the experience? Wow, just to tell yourself, I saw this and this happen. Interesting. What can I learn from that? And I quote Nelson Mandela a lot. He states some pretty wise things. For those of you who do not know who he was, as a freedom fighter in South Africa and was in jail for many years for the fact that he did not follow the African government the way that they lived, and he had his own way of doing things. And he got a lot of followers. He was a really great freedom fighter, a man who fought for freedom of humanity. I don't think it was really religion based. I don't know enough of the history. I think it was just about the oppression that happened to certain parts of South Africa, certain blacks that were oppressed. I believe that's more what he did. And it could be there's people here who know him more about his story, but a very famous man. And he said pretty wise quote. He was in jail for a lot of years. And when he got out, he really started this whole movement. And he says, I never lose, because I never lose. I either win or I learn something. So how do you react when you see something is not right? Do you tell the other person, confront them? Do you talk to somebody else about it? Or do you ignore it? Or do you try to learn from it? And it could be more than one. Which brings us to, but you understand when we started to talk about that, we start with that negative bias, you may become more aware of why you act in a certain way. That it's not your fault that you started off with trauma. You started your life off with trauma. So because you started your life off with trauma, you're always hyper vigilant about something not going right because, this is going to affect my personal stability. This is going to affect my security. I need to do something. Why do we think that way? Well, we started our life off with trauma. So that's the way we've been trained in our minds. We've been conditioned. You can change that condition, absolutely, but you can't change that conditioning unless you become aware of what's going on. So there's 3 levels of humans. And we've spoken about this many times in the Mindful Mondays, but for those new people, we can repeat it, or even for people who have heard it, there's something wrong with repeating. There's three levels of humans. There's a lower level of a human. The lower level of an individual is somebody who gossips, who talks about other people. I was a lower level person. My Shabbos table, we used to talk about people in the neighborhood. We used to talk about gossip, about stuff. I don't know if any of you do this. Maybe none of you do it. I don't know. But I know we used to do it. I don't know if we did it a lot or not, but we did it. I know why, after I got into recovery, why I did it. Because I was so unstable myself that I was gossiping about other people. That's the lower level person. The average person talks about experiences. Like we said, oh, I was in the store yesterday. I was in a store. So they're not low-level people. In other words, they're not going to talk about the specific store per se, but they're just going to say, oh, I was on the street yesterday and I saw this and this happen. We talk about experiences. Oh, this is what happened in my younger. This is what happened with my family member. And we talk about experience. And that's an average person. It's not a bad thing, not a good thing. It's just human. It's a human thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. That's what we do. We share our stories with other people. We want other people to hear us. And then we listen to other people. That's how we converse. That's how we communicate. There's nothing wrong with that. That is an average person. And there's nothing wrong with being average. Seriously, nothing wrong with being average. A lot better than being a low person. Average person is a phenomenal thing for a human being to be. A high level person talks about concepts, which is what we're doing here. So we're talking on a high level because we're not talking about anybody per se. I know I mention myself sometimes in order just to make it a little bit more interesting so you can hopefully make it a little more relatable. But it's not really about me. It's more about these concepts. It's about the message. So a high level person talks primarily about concepts. So ask yourself, which category do you fit into? And be honest with yourself. Where are you at? You can't get further in life if you don't know where you're at. And something that we're going to be speaking about in our next Mindful Monday, we're going to be talking more about the person, because if you notice, we talked about when you see something wrong with somebody else or you see something wrong with yourself. We're not going to focus on the something wrong with yourself tonight. That we're going to talk about next week in the Mindful Monday. So I look forward to seeing at least all of you there, plus at least one friend of yours. So we'll have at least double the people here next week. And we're going to be talking about that. We'll get a little review first of tonight's session. So it's always good to review, to hear a little bit more about it. But we're not focusing on yourself right now tonight. We're only going to be focusing on other people, what you with other people. So which level of person do you fit into? Do you fit into the lower level person? Do you fit into the average level person? Or do you fit in the higher level person? And we ask ourselves, now that you know that, why? The question is, why do you notice the other things so much? Why do you focus on other things so much? So we told you that you start life, I already answered the question. You start life with trauma. We all start life with trauma. But however, I already answered at the beginning how you can change that by just taking 3 positive things about your experience, or 1 positive thing about your experience. You can change your perception of how you look at other things and how you look at life. You see, the world is basically good. We're basically good people. Human beings are basically really good people. We really are. We're all trying to do good. Some people get brainwashed and get distorted. You have radicals, like we had in, not to get political, but recent events in Israel. You had some radicals who are still there, who have these convoluted ideas and think that killing people for some type of purpose is a good thing. Those are distorted thinkers. Those people were brainwashed. Those are not average human beings. But average human beings, we're really good people. You look around the world, you'll see good people just trying to live their lives, really just trying to do good. The average person is really, even though we were all born with trauma. Maybe this is another reason, just a thought that just came into my head. Maybe this is another reason why we all go through trauma. It levels the playing. So we're all starting off at an equal place. So we all start off at a minus when we're born. We all start off with that trauma. We all start off with that negativity. However, we're all basically good people. And we really want to do good. We want to serve God. We want to enjoy life with our families. We want to live with happiness and joy. And those who want to live a spiritual life, even more beautiful. We're all really trying to do good. We really are. But things happen to us, and we start to get distorted perceptions about life. Where does it come from? Now you know. It comes because you were born from trauma. You started on with the negative. So it's not that there's something wrong with you. It's not that there's something negative about you. You're like the salmon. If you know the salmon fish, it's always flowing against the current. It's always going upstream against the current. That's how human beings are. That's how we were created. It's not our fault. It's because we have I believe, that we have such innate power that we can persevere and we can overcome things. So we start off with a negative to create in us this tremendous force, this will to survive that each and every one of us has every day. To the extent that you and I, each one of us has that power, can you imagine? To be able to take a past experience, a negative past experience, and change the memory in our memory bank, and we can have a positive experience. Why is that important? Because if you live with a negative experience, you're going to be angry, you're going to be full of anxiety, you're going to feel overwhelmed, you're going to get anxious, you're going to be easily triggered, and so on. And this is the healing, part of the healing that we do in our program, where we take people who have gone through more than just the birth trauma that I'm talking about. People who are overweight, and I know they have all these Ozempic shots and all that wonderful stuff. And I think personally, and I'm talking about as a professional, as a clinician, as somebody who's kept my weight off, I didn't have shots back then. There were no shots. But I've seen all these things. I've seen the balls, I've seen the shots, I've seen appetite suppressants, I've seen bariatric surgery. I've seen it all. And all of it. And I want you to know that the shots is a major health breakthrough. It really is. It helps with, not everybody can be on it, just like any other medication. But not only is it great appetite suppressant, it helps people lose weight, it works with the GLP-1 receptors in the brain, and it works with that hormone that causes the cravings, that it reduces our appetite, which is phenomenal. It has a lot of added benefits. It has a lot for people with hypertension. It prevents stroke. It prevents a lot of positive things. When people ask me, should they take it? I said, absolutely. There is one thing, one major thing that the shots don't do. And they don't teach you how to keep your weight off. And people think once they lose weight, oh, they're good to go. They're happier. Of course they're happier. Are they really happier? If they were eating because they're anxious, they're not really happier. They're happier that they lost weight and they're excited about it. But it's very short-lived. And it doesn't take long. The minute they stop taking those shots, the weight starts coming back on. And it's going to, because there is no medication for emotional healing. There is medication to help you lose weight. Absolutely. There's been medication for years. I took appetite suppressants when I was trying to lose weight, not as powerful as the Ozempic, but I took some. Did it help? Not really. And a lot of people can lose weight. Keeping it off, that's the key. And the only way to keep it off is some of the work that we're doing here tonight. And it's not just about keeping weight off, it's about anxiety reduction, other things about changing our perspectives, because it's basically that's what it is. And it's simple. I'm not talking about complicated concepts here tonight, but it's not easy, and you can't do this work alone. And I'm very grateful. Somebody texted, do we help with diabetes? Absolutely. I'm a diabetic myself. It absolutely helps with diabetes. I know Ozempic helps with diabetes also. However, the stress hormone is not affected by the GLP-1, which are those shots. So if you don't take care of that aspect of it, you may stop overeating temporarily, but it's going to come out somewhere else, guaranteed. And then it comes to a point where it stops working. It doesn't continue all the time. And now what? And we get plenty of people who come who were on the medication and it worked wonders for them. They lost 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and then it stopped working. And now they don't know what to do because they never really healed the source. That's what our programs do. We heal the source, we retrain the subconscious. So if you're interested to find out more about Keep Those Pounds Off or Ascent, which is our trauma healing program, our anxiety reduction program, we're going to put in the chat. It's the same number that you answered the word mindful. You can put it in the chat. Darren, could you please put in the login so you can, there it is. There's the phone number, 845-400-9466. 845-400-9466. There are a lot of people who are just calling in, so they're not calling on the computer. You can just call into the office, leave a message, just like you did with the word mindful, and somebody will get in touch with you if you want to find out more about what our programs do. And I want to thank you all. We're going to end for tonight. We will be here next Monday. I don't want to keep you here too long. We will be opening up for Q&A, for questions and answers, and I will do my best to answer your questions for you. And you just have to unmute, or if you're from online, raise your hand. And if there's something, I see 6-9. You started, so just give me one more minute. I will get to you in a minute. I'm sorry? Somebody unmuted, but I don't think they realized. Okay, let me mute them. I don't think they were asking a question. If somebody's interested to find out more about what we do, again, just get into the office, 845-400-9466. I thank you all for coming. I hope you learned something. I hope it was enjoyable, inspiring of some sort. And once again, we will be here next Monday. And since you already signed in for this, you do not need to sign in again. You will get the notification next week of the time. It will be next Monday at 8 o'clock. So is there anybody who would like to start us off, who has a question or a comment about, specifically about what we spoke about tonight, or something about our programs? I'm more than happy to answer your questions. If you are feeling a little uncomfortable to ask out loud, you can text in your question. I will be answering mostly the people who unmute, but I will try to. Somebody had texted, I think I already answered them. Do you deal with diabetes? Absolutely. We definitely do. We have healed many. Somebody asked, what does D&D mean? And I don't know what that is referring to. Okay. Who would like to start us off? Does anybody have a question or a comment that they would like to start with? Again, take a moment. Hope you took notes, so you'll have something to review. Once again, you will get the newsletter, so you will get a synopsis of what we spoke about tonight. Oh, D&D means do not disturb. Okay. So somebody got a D&D means do not disturb. Thank you, Darren. All right. Does it make sense that I'm third type of person? So I'm assuming when you say third type of person, in other words, you don't speak about other people, you don't speak average, you only talk about higher things, but you're still overeating. Absolutely. It doesn't mean that is the cure-all for everything, that you're not going to overeat if you speak from a higher concept. It's just giving you a better awareness of where you are. It's there's multiple reasons that people overeat, and it should be fixed now. Okay. It is possible to be the third type of person and still overeat. There are multiple reasons that cause overeating. There can be some other type of unresolved trauma. Okay, you understood. Okay, great. I see there's two other people who unmuted. I don't know if they wanted to answer a question. 6-3, did you have a question? Or
Yes,
6-6?
hello?
6-3.
Hello?
Oh, yes. You
You able
wanted
to
to ask
hear
a
me?
question and you unmuted. Mazel
Okay.
tov. We got it together. There is somebody else who asked the question. I'm going to get to you in a minute. Your text question, go ahead, 6-3. You are up. How can I
Yes,
help?
hello. I want to know about what will be the Mindful Mondays. Is it the guidance part of the KTPO bootcamp program, or is it something else? I just joined the KTPO bootcamp program.
Oh, you just joined up. Keep those pounds. No, the Mindful Mondays is the separate thing. Obviously, it's still me who's doing it, so it's the same person, but it's a separate aspect of the program. It's just giving people different ideas about different topics, and but you
Okay,
will find
not the weight loss.
no, not after weight
Oh,
loss, but even in the weight loss program, as you will find that after the first 6 or 8 weeks, the truth is we don't really talk a lot about eating.
yeah, that's
And
what I.
because eating is not the problem, we really talk about the reason why you're eating, which is the emotional aspect. So we really get down to the roots and causes of why you eat, because that's how you're going to be able to keep your weight off. So the Mindful
Yeah.
Mondays is just an added bonus for members, but it's also a way to share a lot of our theories and concepts with other people, the average person.
Hmm. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and good luck with the program. How are you enjoying it so far?
Amazing, amazing. Much more than I could imagine.
And that's
Super.
only just started. So you're going to be excited more as time goes on. I promise you
Yeah,
that.
I would say I'm a little bit advanced because I knew a lot already from other hotlines like that are in health. So this is
Mhm.
like giving me the extra push that I'm on the right path. I'm like
So
to
we're
give
so
me
happy that
motivation to, yeah.
I'm so happy. Let's hope we can keep up that excitement going as you continue and heal and grow.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I am
Can
the
you mute
first.
me?
No, you can mute yourself. Just press *6. It'll
Okay.
mute.
Okay.
There are a bunch of people now unmuting. It's going a little crazy over here. All right. I am the first type of person, just telling the next friend what happened. What should I do? I don't want to be that way. So we're going to focus on that for in our next week's. The fact that you are aware of it. Are you a member in our program? You who just texted this. I only see the letter A. No. Would you like to find out more about the program? Because that's really what our program does. Not yet. Okay. Not yet that you're not in the program, and not yet you don't want to find out more. I didn't understand what the not yet was. What you were referring to when you said not yet. I want to sign up. Okay. So we're going to get somebody to reach out to you tomorrow. Somebody will get in touch with you and talk to you about the program, because that's what our program will do. When you have a certain behavior or habit that you're not happy about yourself, we will
How
reach
much is it per month?
1 minute. We said we don't crosstalk, right? So if somebody's talking, we ask that you wait your turn, please. Okay? Thank you. Please let us know what time works best for you. Oh, somebody already responded to you. We're going to contact you. So what our program is going to do is that we're going to find out why there are certain behaviors, not necessarily about eating, but why there are certain behaviors that you have that you are looking to get rid of and what the source of them is. The general source is what we said tonight is the general thing is that we're all born with trauma. However, there are other aspects that we do that we want to know why they are that way. There's somebody else who asked, 1 minute. They said, what does this have to, how to stay in your lane connect with negative bias? The negative bias comes from staying in your lane is what we're going to speak about more about next week. We didn't really get to it tonight about why we want to confront somebody and how we do that. And that, like I said, tonight we're not going to talk about, we're not going to talk a lot about that tonight. We're going to talk more about that next week. But to start with, you really have to know where you're at and why you are the way you are. And that's really what we wanted to focus on tonight. It's impossible to cover everything in 45 minutes. You're talking about changing people's lives. But I'm glad that people are asking these questions because it means that you listen and you're interested. So that's great. Hopefully that answers you how to stay in your lane comes with a negative bias because we started to talk about that because the negative bias is, oh, I want to fix somebody because I'm trying to protect myself because we're in survivor mode. But we're going to get more into that next week. I think I answered everybody's question from the question. Hello? Yes? 83, did you have a question? Hello? I guess not. I guess some people are not aware that they're unmuted. Let me mute them. There's a few people that are unmuted. I see there's 266s that are unmuted and an 05. Do either of you have a question? Either 66. Hello? Yes? 05, did you have a question? I think we're having a little bit of an issue tonight. I'm not sure what. Okay, so you're asking about something that went on tonight?
Yes.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
You're saying we were born with negative bias. That's true. We hear it from all. I heard from like anyone that's in the professional that somehow the negative, a person can get 75 compliments and 2 critics, and the negative is so much louder. So how do we switch that we see the positive more?
That's the job. That is the work that we were created to do. And we do it through at different stages in our life. We have all the tools, even though we're born with negative bias, but we have been given all the tools necessary in order to overcome that. And some of us, unfortunately, have to go through some pretty rough situations in order to finally say, okay, I give up. And I'm one of those people who has gone through that. So it is possible to break through. It's a lifetime of work. And we take one baby step at a time. It's not a quick fix. And
so what is the step we can start with?
Were you here from the beginning?
Yes, basically. Maybe I came in 10 minutes later.
Do you hear about writing down 3 positive things that happened over Yom Tov?
Yes, yes.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's an example of how you do it. How you can change.
So every day I should write 3 positive things every day?
I'm not saying what to do every day. It's not about doing. It's about changing our perception. And people think, oh, what do I have to do? It's not about doing. It's a process that takes, first of all, we have to know where we're at. And that's what our program does. It takes us through the 5 shifts of healing and the 5 stages of grieving, where we have to get out of denial. That's step number 1. Getting out of denial is self-awareness. And that's where it starts, self-awareness. So what we did tonight, that little exercise, wasn't self-awareness. Oh, I had some positive things over Yontif. I didn't realize that 10 minutes before that, or maybe I did, I don't know. These are all part of the self-awareness. It's an inner work. It's not about doing, but it's allowing the subconscious to do the healing. And in order for the subconscious to do the healing, the number 1 criteria for the subconscious is honesty. And without honesty, it cannot work.
So we need honesty. Okay.
And honesty, you cannot get to by yourself. Because you have negative bias, you're not going to be able to do honesty by yourself. So that's why you need others in order to do this work. Okay?
Okay, I hear.
Good. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that hopefully the unmuting.
Okay, thanks for the free mindful podcast. At least we
Welcome. My
get
pleasure.
to learn a little bit every week. So next week, I guess we'll continue to the Stay in Your Lane.
Yeah, it's going to be called something else, but it's part of the same concept.